let's jump into another deep dive. This time we're looking at the construction industry.
Ooh,
And specifically subcontractors.
interesting.
Yeah, we've got quite a few different sources here, presentations from 2014 and 2024,
Okay.
and even some stuff from the ProdUp website. And they all point to one massive problem.
Yeah.
Unproductive time on construction sites.
Yeah.
And guess what?
Go on.
It's often not the fault of the subcontractors.
It's fascinating how we marvel at these completed buildings and kind of assume that the process was all smooth sailing. But behind those, gleaming facades, there's a world of complexity and, frankly, a lot of wasted time. The 2024 presentation from ProdUp hits us with a pretty stark statistic. 30 to 40% of time on construction sites is simply unproductive.
30 to 40. I saw that number and thought, okay, someone's slacking off.
Right.
But then I dug a little deeper.
Yeah.
And it's more nuanced than that, isn't it?
Absolutely. So this unproductive time represents a massive hidden cost and often stems from, I guess you could say, systemic issues
Okay.
that place subcontractors in a difficult position.
Right. So it's like the system is almost working against them.
Yeah.
In a way.
In a way. Think back to that image from the 2014 presentation of a car
The car.
precariously transporting lumber through the back window.
Yeah.
It might seem comical,
Right.
and it highlights how deeply ingrained inefficient practices are.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, like, how much progress has been stifled
Oh, yeah.
in construction just because people resist change.
Because we've always done it this way.
Because we've always done it this way.
Exactly.
They actually included a quote
Oh, okay.
in both presentations that perfectly sums this up.
Yeah.
The most dangerous phrase in the language is, we've always done it this way.
Oh, that's good. That's a powerful reminder that tradition isn't always a good thing.
Right.
And in construction, clinging to outdated methods is costing everyone time and money, especially subcontractors.
So let's talk about these subcontractors.
Yeah.
They're the ones on the ground doing the hands-on work,
Right.
but it sounds like they're often set up to fail.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's often the case.
So what's going wrong?
Well, poor planning by main contractors is a major culprit.
Okay.
Materials aren't delivered on time. Instructions are unclear. The schedule is constantly shifting.
So that they can't actually get anything done.
All of this creates huge inefficiencies
Okay.
for subcontractors who are ready to work.
Yeah, they're ready to go.
But they can't because they're waiting
They're just twiddling their thumbs.
on something or someone.
It's like showing up for a meeting
Yeah.
and the agenda's missing, the projector doesn't work,
Yeah.
and half the attendees are stuck in traffic.
Exactly.
Frustrating, right?
Very much so.
And incredibly unproductive.
Yeah. And this lack of organization trickles down
Okay.
and creates, a domino effect of delays and wasted time.
And the subcontractor's left holding the bag.
Yeah, they're often left to deal with the consequences, facing blame for low productivity, even when it's not their fault.
And that brings us to another crucial point. The lack of documentation.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without clear records of what actually happened on site,
Right.
it becomes a he said, she said situation, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
The subcontractor has no way to prove they were delayed
Yeah.
due to factors outside their control.
Imagine trying to argue with your boss about a missed deadline.
Yeah.
But you have no emails,
Right.
no calendar invites,
Nothing.
no proof that the project was delayed because someone else dropped the ball.
Right.
That's the reality subcontractors often face.
Wow.
And this lack of transparency creates an environment where they're unfairly held accountable.
It's almost like they're set up to fail from the beginning.
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, the presentations mentioned that labor costs in Norway are higher compared to other European countries.
So this is a big deal.
So this productivity problem
Yeah.
isn't just an inconvenience, it's a serious financial drain.
Exactly. If you're paying a premium for skilled labor,
Right.
you want to make sure that labor is being used as effectively as possible.
Of course.
Every minute wasted is money down the drain.
Yeah.
Further emphasizing the need for solutions like ProdUp.
Right. ProdUp, let's get into what they're doing
Okay.
to tackle this challenge.
Yeah.
Their app, which has evolved significantly since its early
I
version,
was looking at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
focuses on addressing this very problem
Right.
of documentation and accountability.
What's fascinating here is how ProdUp flips the script.
Right.
Instead of relying on memory or anecdotal evidence, it provides a data-driven system for tracking exactly what's happening on-site in real time.
It's not just basic time tracking, is it?
It's way more than that.
They record hours worked, Sure.
Of course.
But also the production output for each activity and any deviations from the plan.
Exactly.
This gives a much more granular and accurate picture of what's going on.
Think of it as a digital witness, providing an unbiased record of who did what, when, and where.
Yeah.
It allows subcontractors to demonstrate exactly how they spent their time and what factors impacted their productivity.
And for main contractors, it's almost like a mirror, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Reflecting their own planning and management practices.
It's about moving from finger pointing to data-driven insights.
I love that.
With ProdUp, everyone can see where the bottlenecks are,
Yeah.
what's causing the delays.
And who's actually responsible. So instead of assuming the subcontractor is slacking off, you can actually see if they were waiting for materials or dealing with unclear instructions.
Or navigating constant changes to the schedule.
Right, exactly.
And this level of transparency is essential for building trust and accountability within the construction process.
But it's not just about blame and accountability, is it?
No, it's not.
This kind of data also opens up opportunities for improvement, right?
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Having this detailed record of activities, production, and deviations allows everyone to learn from past mistakes.
Okay.
Identify areas for improvement and ultimately work more efficiently in the future.
So it's a tool for both protection and progress.
Exactly.
Subcontractors can protect themselves from unfair blame, while also identifying ways to optimize their own processes.
Absolutely.
And main contractors gain valuable insights into how their planning impacts the workflow on the ground,
allowing them to make adjustments and improve their management practices.
It's about moving from a culture of blame to a culture of learning and collaboration.
It is. It is.
I love that.
It's a good way to put it.
Speaking of learning, I was really intrigued by that 2006 case study. Included in the 2014 presentation.
It showcased the effectiveness of their early system.
Even back then, they were already focused on those core principles of systematization, standardization, improvement, and evaluation.
And they had this quote from a guy named Nils Nilsson, who used the system back in 2006. He said, and I quote, "It worked really well for our team. Having constant information about where we stand in the process made it a lot more fun to work. We were all genuinely motivated to do a good job regardless of the bonus."
That highlights a crucial point.
Yeah.
That transparency and a sense of progress can be incredibly motivating for workers. When you know where you stand, what's expected of you, and how your work contributes to the overall project, it creates a much more positive and engaged work environment.
He even mentioned that the quality wasn't negatively impacted by the system. Interesting. It seems like this approach, even in its early stages,
addressed a lot of concerns people might have about implementing such a system.
Exactly. It's not about micromanaging or squeezing every last ounce of effort from workers. It's about creating a framework for transparency, accountability, and shared understanding, which ultimately leads to better outcomes for everyone.
And that brings us to the evolution of ProdUp itself. It's fascinating to see how they've taken that initial system and developed it into a much more sophisticated app, expanding their vision beyond just productivity tracking.
It seems like they're aiming to provide a comprehensive suite of tools to support subcontractors in managing their entire businesses more effectively.
That's a big step. We'll delve into the details of ProdUp verksamhetsstyring in the next segment. But for now, let's pause here and reflect on what we've learned so far.
We've uncovered the hidden costs of unproductive time in construction.
Particularly for subcontractors.
Who are often unfairly blamed for delays caused by poor planning and a lack of communication. And we've explored how ProdUp's data-driven approach provides a much-needed layer of transparency and accountability. Empowering subcontractors to demonstrate their value and protect themselves from unwarranted criticism.
And we've touched on the potential of this kind of data to drive not just accountability, but also improvement and collaboration.
It's about shifting the focus from blame to understanding.
I love that.
From guesswork to data-driven decision-making, and from adversarial relationships to a more collaborative approach to project management.
We'll be back after a short break to explore the broader implications of ProdUp's vision.
Sounds good.
For the future of construction and what it might mean for the industry as a whole.
Looking forward to it.
Stay tuned.
All right. So before the break, we were talking about how ProdUp really empowers subcontractors with that data-driven documentation.
Right.
Shifting the focus from blame to understanding.
Yeah.
Now, let's explore a little bit
Okay.
ProdUp's expanded vision for the future of construction, particularly this concept of ProdUp virksomhetsstyring.
Okay, right. Virksomhetsstyring, which for our listeners means business management.
Yes.
It seems like they're going beyond just on-site productivity.
They are.
And aiming to help these subcontractors manage their entire operations.
That's right.
More effectively.
It's a fascinating evolution, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It suggests they're not just providing a tool, but becoming a strategic partner for these subcontractors.
Interesting.
Helping them navigate the complexities of running a successful business.
And from what I gathered from the presentation, they're looking at everything. From recruitment and onboarding to training, career development, and even financial management.
It's like they're creating an ecosystem to support these subcontractors throughout their entire business life cycle.
Yeah, and it's a smart move, I think.
I think so, too.
Especially considering the challenges a lot of these subcontractors face.
These are often small to medium-sized businesses.
Right.
They lack the resources of those larger firms.
Yeah, exactly.
So ProdUp is stepping in to fill that gap, providing the expertise and tools they need to not only survive, but thrive in a competitive market.
It's like they're recognizing that boosting productivity on these individual projects is just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
By addressing these broader business challenges. They're enabling subcontractors to build stronger, more sustainable organizations.
I think that's a key insight. If you can improve the overall health of the subcontracting sector, you ultimately improve the health of the entire construction industry.
Exactly.
A healthier industry benefits everyone.
Right.
From developers and investors.
To the end users who enjoy the buildings and infrastructure.
Absolutely.
But implementing such a comprehensive system must come with its own set of challenges, right?
Yeah, of course.
Even getting buy-in from subcontractors across different trades and sizes could be a hurdle.
You raise a valid point. There's likely a learning curve involved for these subcontractors who are accustomed to traditional ways of managing their businesses. ProdUp will need to demonstrate the value proposition very clearly and provide robust support to facilitate adoption.
And are there any potential downsides? Is there a risk that this level of data collection and analysis could be perceived as intrusive?
Yeah, that's a crucial consideration. And one that ProdUp needs to address very carefully. Transparency and data security will be paramount.
They'll need to make sure these subcontractors understand how their data is being used.
Who has access to it, and what measures are in place to protect their privacy.
It's a reminder that even with the best intentions, technology can be a double-edged sword.
Of course.
The key is to use it responsibly and ethically, focusing on empowering people, not controlling them.
I completely agree. It's about finding that right balance between transparency and privacy, between data-driven insights and human judgment, between standardization and flexibility.
It's also worth considering, I think, how ProdUp fits into the broader landscape of construction technology.
The context space.
Right. There are other companies out there offering solutions for project management, time tracking, even data analytics.
So how does ProdUp differentiate itself?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it?
It is. From what we've seen, ProdUp's focus on subcontractors, particularly their deep understanding of the unique challenges this sector faces, seems to be a key differentiator. They're not just providing a generic software solution. They're offering a tailored approach designed to meet the specific needs of these subcontractors.
And this focus on subcontractors could be their competitive advantage, right?
It could be.
Especially as the industry becomes more data-driven and demanding.
As it's becoming.
If they can successfully position themselves as the go-to solution for these subcontractors, they're well-positioned for growth.
Absolutely. But they can't afford to rest on their laurels. The construction technology landscape is evolving rapidly.
Yeah, it is. Things are changing all the time.
New players are emerging all the time.
It's a reminder that even in a seemingly traditional industry like construction, there's a constant need for agility.
Yeah.
And a willingness to embrace change.
And companies like ProdUp are at the forefront.
Yeah, they're leading the way.
Of this transformation.
And that's what makes this deep dive so compelling, I think.
I agree.
We're not just looking at a software solution.
No.
We're witnessing a potential paradigm shift.
Yeah.
In how the construction industry operates.
That's right.
A shift towards greater transparency, accountability, and collaboration.
I like that.
So what does this all mean for you, our listener?
Why should you care?
Yeah, why should you care?
About these seemingly niche developments in the world of construction tech.
What's the takeaway?
The takeaway here is that the construction industry touches all of our lives. The buildings we inhabit, the roads we travel on.
The infrastructure.
The infrastructure that supports our communities. Yeah. It all stems from this complex and often overlooked sector.
So a more efficient and accountable construction industry ultimately benefits everyone.
It does.
It means projects are completed on time, within budget.
Yes.
Resources used more sustainably.
Absolutely.
And a built environment that's safer, more resilient, and better suited to our needs.
Exactly. And as we've seen, technology, like ProdUp, has the potential to be a powerful force for positive change in this industry.
Let's delve a little bit deeper into the specific features and functionalities of ProdUp's app in our next segment.
Sounds good.
We'll explore how it works in practice and what kind of data it captures to empower those subcontractors and drive those improvements across the whole construction process. So we've talked a lot about the why behind ProdUp. The need for transparency, accountability, and a more data-driven approach to construction.
I think we've hammered that home.
Yeah. Now let's get into the how.
The nitty-gritty.
Yeah. What does this app actually do? How does it actually work on a day-to-day basis for the people who are actually using it?
Well, ProdUp's power lies in its simplicity. It's designed for busy construction workers, not data analysts. So the interface is intuitive. The workflows are straightforward.
So it's easy to use, even if you're not a tech person.
Yeah, exactly.
From the sources, it seems like it all starts with setting up the project structure.
That's right.
Within the app.
You have to map out the project hierarchically, break it down into those sub-projects categories, and even those specific activities.
So everything's organized.
Yeah, that ensures that every hour worked is tracked accurately and linked to the relevant part of the project.
So no more vague timesheets or trying to remember what you did a week ago.
No more of that.
Everything is meticulously documented.
Precisely. And that level of detail is what makes the data so valuable. It's not just about knowing how many hours are spent, but understanding exactly how those hours were allocated, where the work was done, and what was produced.
So let's say the project's all set up in the app. What happens next?
Daily recording is key. Workers log their hours, specifying which activities they worked on, where they worked, and how much they produced.
So it's a real-time log.
It is,
of their progress and effort.
Precisely.
And they can also record any deviations from the plan, can't they?
Absolutely.
Like if they were delayed because of a late material delivery? Or unclear instructions from the main contractor?
Those deviations are often the most insightful pieces of data.
How so?
They reveal the hidden inefficiencies, the bottlenecks that slow down progress and eat into profits.
It's almost like a digital paper trail. Leading you to the root causes of the problems.
You can see exactly where things went wrong, who was impacted, and how it could have been avoided.
And this is where the reports come into play, right?
That's where those reporting capabilities come in. It's not just about collecting data. It's about turning that data into actionable insights.
You mentioned different types of reports.
Did I?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about those a little bit?
Certainly. So there are productivity reports. They show how efficiently each worker and team is performing, allowing for more targeted training or process improvements.
And then there are financial reports?
Yes. Those track project costs and profitability, highlighting areas where budgets are being exceeded, where margins are being squeezed.
And then my favorite...
What's that?
The hindrance reports.
Yes. Hindrance reports. Those are like gold mines of information.
Because they expose those hidden costs, don't they?
They do.
Of poor planning, lack of communication, and inefficient processes.
Exactly.
So instead of just blaming the subcontractor for delays, you can actually use these reports to understand those underlying causes and address them proactively.
It's about moving from a reactive approach to a proactive one.
That's a great way to put it.
Using data to anticipate and mitigate problems before they escalate.
And that leads to better outcomes for everyone.
It does.
Projects are completed on time and within budget. Happier and more motivated workers. And stronger relationships between the main contractors and subcontractors.
Yeah. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win, but it all hinges on that one crucial element, data.
You got it.
Without accurate and detailed data, the whole system falls apart.
That's why ProdUp's emphasis on daily recording is so important. It's about building that culture of data-driven decision-making where everyone understands the value of accurate tracking and uses that information to drive continuous improvement.
It's almost a shift in mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
From viewing data collection as a chore to seeing it as an opportunity for empowerment and growth.
Exactly.
And I think that's perhaps the most exciting aspect of ProdUp's vision.
They're not just selling software. They're promoting a whole new way of working, a more transparent, accountable, and data-informed approach to construction.
And as we've discussed, this approach has implications that extend far beyond individual projects or companies.
A more efficient and data-driven construction industry benefits society as a whole.
Right, exactly.
It means better infrastructure, more sustainable building practices, a more resilient built environment.
Projects completed on time and within budget.
Yes.
Freeing up resources for other vital investments.
It means a stronger economy and a better quality of life for everyone.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into ProdUp and the world of construction productivity, what are some key takeaways?
Okay, so key takeaways.
Yeah, for our listeners.
The construction industry is ripe for disruption.
Okay.
And data-driven solutions like ProdUp are leading the charge. This isn't just about technology. It's about changing mindsets, empowering workers, and building a more efficient, accountable, and collaborative future for construction.
And remember, everyone, this is just a starting point.
It is.
We encourage you to explore further.
Yeah, go check out their website.
Yeah, it's www.produp.no.
Yep.
And consider how these ideas might apply to your own work.
To your own industry, even to your own life.
Because in a world that's increasingly reliant on data,
it is, isn't it?
The ability to collect, analyze, and act on information is becoming a critical skill.
It really is.
For success.
In any field.
So thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Into the world of construction productivity. We hope you found it insightful.
Yes.
Thought-provoking.
Absolutely.
And maybe even a little bit inspiring.
And hopefully a little bit fun.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those gears turning.
Bye, everyone.